With the official announcement of election results, South Africa is a completely different country. For the first time since the advent of democracy, voters have decided not to give one party, the ANC, an absolute majority and with it, absolute power. The South African people have shown great wisdom because eventually, inevitably, power corrupts. That's human nature. This election is a sign of a healthy democracy. The people have said it is enough of one party exercising absolute power. The corruption must end. It's time to share the power. This new world of coalitions and power sharing can be the dawn of an era of great prosperity and success and happiness for South Africa, provided our politicians show true principled leadership. The place to begin is for the country's two biggest parties, the ANC and the DA, to form a government of national unity, with other smaller parties with shared values joining the coalition. Together, the ANC and DA represent over 60% of South Africans, and SRF opinion polls show that the majority of the voters of both parties want this coalition. But it's more than just the numbers. The ANC and DA also represent the widest diversity of South Africans across all the so-called barriers of race, culture, language, ethnicity, and economic status. And so if this coalition is established, it will be a true expression of the South African dream of unity in diversity. The coalition building process will not be easy. I say this as someone who has been fiercely critical of the ANC for its moral failings. For the partnership to work, the ANC will have to repent for all its sins and humbly learn the lessons of the election. The voters rejected the obsessive anti-Israel politics of President Ramaphosa. Even in the Western Cape, where the ANC was hoping that its support for Hamas would attract votes, its support declined by more than 10 points to an all-time low in the province of around 20%. At the same time, the DA's majority held fast, while the most openly pro-Israel party, the Patriotic Alliance, gained the most. The message from the voters is that they do not want to be distracted by the personal agenda of Naledi Pandor. They want their lives to improve. The suffering and humiliation of unemployment and poverty is a moral affront and must be addressed with judicious policies that will set us on a path to economic growth and prosperity. Service delivery must be in the hands of those most competent, not those with the best political connections. To achieve this, the leadership of the ANC and the DA are going to have to exhibit the highest form of leadership. The Talmud's vision of leadership is captured by this teaching, Lo srara ani noten lachem ela avdut. I give you not power, but service. Service is the essence of great leadership. Of course, politics is about the accumulation of power, but that power must not be for self-enrichment or party patronage, but for serving the people. Coalition politics encourages this higher form of leadership because it's not one party controlling the revenue and resources of the state and deploying them in accordance with their own needs. When power is shared, it focuses the minds of political leaders on service. This is the essential spirit of democracy. Leaders are appointed by the people to serve the best interests of the nation. This is going to test both the DA and the ANC, who have been bitter political adversaries for many years. They've just emerged from robust election campaigns. We're talking about parties that have very different policies and opinions. It is risky for both of them. The DA, as the smaller party, is more vulnerable, and it must be careful to negotiate a deal that gives it room to act and achieve tangible results. This diverse coalition can only work if it is a genuine partnership, not just window dressing. It has to be about saving South Africa and not positions, salaries, and power. The Talmud provides the formula for how to make this work. It says, any community dedicated to heaven will endure, and one which is not dedicated to heaven will not endure. This means, for a society to be successful, leaders in particular must act not out of self-interest, but for the sake of heaven, for a higher cause, for the greater good. Ultimately, our Creator put us on this earth to be what the Talmud calls God's partners in creation, to play an active role in making the world a better place, to help one another, and to be kind and compassionate, protecting the vulnerable, uplifting the poor, to create opportunities for everyone to fulfill their God-given potential, to prosper and to realize their dreams. The SRF opinion polls show that the vast majority of South Africans want all the same things, that there is a shared vision of what a bright future looks like for us all. Now is the time for our politicians to work together, to set aside their self-interest and party interests, to make our lives better, to put this great country back on track, to act for the sake of heaven. And if this happens, it can be the dawn of a bright new beginning for South Africa, a chance to build a true rainbow nation, unified in all our diversity, where, as Martin Luther King put it, people will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This was not only his dream, it was Nelson Mandela's dream. It is the South African dream. Through our votes, we have spoken. Now it's the task of our political leaders to rise to the occasion and make history. May God bless South Africa. Inkosi sikaleli Afrika.